let's start with this. What do you mean by high performing team? So for this, let's go over to Menti. So let's look at a few of them, right? High performing teams have better communication, trust, cooperation, engagement. Now that's true. So I will share with you today, at least from a humanistic perspective, why this is important. And this is the irony. We all can agree that communication is important, but sometimes we are trying to use a lot of tools and apps and all to communicate. So I'm going to bring us back to the fundamental of the importance of communication. So this is a very good point. Normal teams are led by managers, high performing teams are led by leaders. Great. So once again, we recognize the differences, right? Just very quickly, between the word managers and leaders, if you think about it, a job of a manager is to stabilize things. A job of a leader is to rock the boat. And the whole idea of rocking the boat is so that you generate better ideas. In today's context, a manager is also required to lead. So that means a manager has to pick up the skills of leadership. High performing teams, happy teams, where we can create creativity, innovative ideas, not waiting for instruction. Great. They are independent but best teams. Now, so this you are talking about self-directed team or self-management team. And this is interesting. Now, it may not be, in my opinion, it may not be happy team, but it is going to be a very highly satisfying working in such teams. And I'll talk later where the shift of a high performing team, there's a shift from focus on relationship to focus on goals, right?
But I think this one also depends on the leadership, right?
Meaning,
Meaning to say, if the leadership is tend to actually have a very rigid way, one-way communication, you listen to me. So I
yeah,
think, the subordinates will tend like, okay, that is what the boss is saying. That's it, right? They don't want to actually innovate and have a
exactly.
creative discussion.
Great, you're right. And therefore, that's the normal team. So a high performing team goes beyond that. So I'm also going to share afterwards as we go through this. A high performing team requires leaders who are willing to take risk. Normal team works together to achieve goal. High performing teams, they collaborate, innovate, produce work. Great. And one of the things that we talk about is about transparency. How do you create transparency? How do you share in a way that people are okay? Because if you think about it, a common factor in the Asian culture is we try not to offend people, and we try not, the main one is we try not to offend people, and therefore sometimes we keep quiet. Now, quality of outcome, I thought this is important. Now, a normal team can also produce results. Let's not forget that. We are not saying that normal team is not good. What we are saying, a normal team does what's required, whereas a high performing team usually goes above and beyond to produce excellent results. That's one. Secondly, in a high performing team, right, they don't stop just because there's a problem. They actually find a way to innovate around it. Let's go back to our slide and let me take it over from there. I think one of the things that I thought that perhaps I don't add on is level of involvement. In a normal team, involvement is by appointment. I mean, I need you to do this. In a high performing team, right, all you need to do is say, who wants to do this? And people will say, boss, I don't mind doing that. People actually volunteer themselves. That to me is a major part of it, right? So if I'm looking at it, is a highly functional and highly performing team is one where members' key focus is on the result instead of the relationship, and not the other way around. So let me kind of clarify this, because a lot of us have the mindset that relationship in the team is important. Yes, relationship is important, but strengthening the relationship is actually a byproduct of us working towards results. If we realize today people are not staying in jobs for too long, after 3 years, people may move out of job. Imagine if you're in a team where the focus is on relationship, right? So, which means if you stay on, you are viewed as loyal, and therefore, we build friendship. We go makan together. I go for your daughter's birthday and all. Now that's focused on relationship. A team that's focused like that finds change disruptive to the team, which means whenever there's a new member change, people get frustrated. Wherever the organization change, people get very team members get very demoralized, because when organization change, it affects the relationship, right? Now, compared to when the focus on results, where people come in very clear that we are in this team because we need to achieve this goal. And as you work towards the goal, you realize relationship building becomes a necessity. In the first approach where focus is on relationship, The focus is because we are strong, we have good relationship, we can work. That may sound correct, but a lot of the team studies have shown this may not work. When you're talking focus relationship, senior members tend to get their way. Because why? The longer you are in a relationship context, the longer you are means you're more loyal, and therefore certain rights and privileges are given to you. So senior members tend to get their way. Those who talk the louder get their way. Now, harmony over results. So in a team that focuses on relationship, people don't offend each other. So sometimes even you may have a good idea, right? You may keep quiet because it's against your leader's ideas, or it may be against your other team members' idea, and you don't want to rub them the wrong way. So maybe somebody said something, and if you say it, it's going to be the opposite. So you don't want that. So you rather have the harmony than actually push towards a better result. Now, tend to protect team members instead of addressing issues. In a team that focuses on relationship, because if you think about it, relationship is linked to face value. So whenever another team comment, or maybe the CEO or anyone in the organization make comment about the team, the tendency is you guys don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand what we have difficulty. There's a tendency to protect the team, protect the member. And when you spend effort protecting, you may actually be close to feedback or valid concerns the organization has towards your team, right? Because why? You're protecting everybody. Now view the team as their own, because the team is the relationship. When an organization change, what happens? Priority gets changed, which means maybe now I have to take back resource. Last time you have 1 million, now I need to revise your budget to 500,000. Now, if you're focused on relationship, what happens is whenever there's a revise in budget, everybody has to work harder, and then also now we have to crack our head harder. We have to change the way we work, right? We have to replan, which means we are creating a lot of uncomfortableness. And therefore, it's easy to see the organization as making things difficult for the team, right? Because we view our team as us. So, and this is very dangerous, especially today, things are moving fast. Now, follow procedure. So because we don't want to offend, we just follow procedure. If procedure is say, I'm supposed to get something from the department, and I follow procedure and the answer is cannot, I just stop there because I don't offend anybody. So not offending people become very big in a team that focuses on relationship. And because of that, because of relationship, you will find members take things very personally. That is what happens when the focus of the team is on relationship. Now, once again, I need to be very clear. I'm not saying relationship is not important. I'm saying when relationship becomes the focus. Now, compared to focus on results, and this is where a high-performing team thrives, right? The best idea gets picked, which means what? Every member needs to be given permission to speak. Even the one that's not popular, every member, because the best idea wins. Now, because of that, team members have to learn how to communicate better. They need to find a way to sell their ideas. They need to find a way to articulate their thoughts so that people see exactly what they're talking about. That's one. Now, team result over individual interest. One of the things people don't like change is because either they have to do more work or they have to do other things. So we tend to keep quiet because we don't do extra work. Now, in a high-performing team, people want better results for the team. And therefore, they are willing to make adjustments. They are willing to say, don't worry, I'll help you, because team result become more important. And this is where high-performing team excel. They view team result, team goal first before their personal goals. And I've seen some teams behaving this way a lot. Open to feedback and critical. Now, people tell they will change. View organization as part of view the team as part of the organization. Now, in a high-performing team, there is a clear setup. There's a clear expectation that this team is here because of the organization. This team is to support the organization. So if the organization change, the team record, while it may be difficult, the team will change with it because they understand why the organization needs to do. Which means one of the things the team leader needs to do whenever a budget is being taken away is to actually find out why and communicate to the team, as well as tell the team that I know this is frustrating, but we need to change. Then, last one, complete the task. So in a high-performing team, right, if when they follow the procedure and the job doesn't get done, they will find a way around it without breaking the rules, but they will find a way around it. And that's where a high-performing team leverages relationship in the organization. Though they work in a team, they leverage relationship in the organization. So I have seen team members who literally make friends with the CEO's PA so that they can have information that will be beneficial to the team. And finally, members are professional. Now, in a high functioning team where the focus on the results, we are different. We may not get along well because we have different value system, but we will work together because at the end of the day, I want to benefit as much as you do. So I may not like you, but I will work with you because the team goal is more important. So this is where the fundamental shift happens. And this is something that I'm doing. I'm really working hard with teams to realize relationship important, but relationship shouldn't be the goal.
And I find it very interesting here. It seems like it is quite challenging to strike the balance between having good relationship and result oriented, meaning to say get things done. So maybe if I'm a manager in a company and organization, how do I create a team in such a way that it is result oriented? However, the relationship is actually good among them
Right.
and myself. Yeah.
Okay, so for one thing, we need to recognize now the Malaysian culture is a highly relational culture. So by that definition, right, we tend to be more protective of relationships than the result. So sometimes you hear people say, Allah, we have tried. No, we have tried. That means the focus is on effort because that is relationship. We don't talk about the results. Now, how do you do this? I think partly is for people to realize that when you're working in an organization, you're working in a particular context and you need to know what works. For example, if you're playing soccer, you must abide by soccer rules. You can't follow you can't follow the rugby rules in a soccer match. Likewise, when you are working in an organization, you must understand the rules of the organization. So like when I train managers, especially new managers, one of the things that we do fundamentally to shift them from focus on relationship to focus on result is by getting them to understand the ecosystem within an organization, as well as understand what are the levers that they can use. So for example, one of the key skills that we work with leaders in order to do this is to recognize what we call building networks in organization, where you build relationship that will be helpful to your job, right? Some people may say, hey, that's like plain politics, but that is the function of it.
So it's not a true friendship. It's just for the sake of get things done.
And
That's how I.
Yeah, okay, it's that sounds negative, but in a way, that is the system that we are working in, right? Like for example, people always talk about loyalty to company, but my question is, in a situation where a company is in a difficulty, the company's loyalty is to the company first, right? It's likewise. And I will go into more details of it in our next session where we talk about a shift from loyalty to mutual benefits. So a leader needs to be very clear instead of just saying relationship important. Yes, relationship is important. For example, between you and I, at the end of the day, let's say we are put in a situation where, remember the reality TV Survivor? At the end of the day, everybody is nice, but when you need to get somebody out, everybody starts to protect themselves. So that's where we need to be very clear when we're organization. It is about getting the result because the game of the organization is this. If you achieve the result, the organization will develop you further. It sounds harsh, but that's the fact of the matter, right?
Mr. Isaac, we have two questions. I think question number one from Hisham, Mr. Hisham.
Okay.
I think it's about something to do with the resources.
Okay.
Normally, people will cross division if their unit has no budget. If their unit already have budget or project to do, normally people will not cross division. I think something to do with the resources of the organization.
Correct.
The second question is that from Nancy Jones.
Yeah.
How a member can persuade a leader or manager to shift from normal team to high performance team? In constructing a team, is it possible for a member to construct high performance team when the manager or leader of the team unable to do so?
Okay, so let me start with Hisham's first. Now, when I talk about normal people will cross division, so I will do Hisham first, then after Nancy. So people will cross division if their unit has no budget. Now, so one of the things is this. And this is where it's important to ask. This is where the relationship is important. The relationship is important. So, for example, I don't have budget. Your department has budget. Now, if we are friends, or we have good relationship, that's why I can say, hey, I need your help. This is what we need to acquire. I don't have a budget. If you have excess fund, Excess fund meaning that you've got everything you want. Can you purchase it on our behalf? So this again, people may say, Isaac, but that's not right. And this is where we talk, when in a high-performing team, we go beyond the rules because we do recognize system and rules do have limitation. And a high-performing team goes beyond that. So in a high-performing team, leaders do not focus on, and this can be a bit sensitive, leaders do not focus on right and wrong. Leaders focus on useful or not useful. So when we say about building relationship, it is about building relationship that will help the work and the project that we work on, right? So for example, and some of you may have been in a situation where you realize the budget is low for department, but they still get things done. Because why? I don't have budget, but I can always use the goodwill of other department to help me to get things done. Or even borrow equipment from other department. Because why? I don't have budget, so I can borrow. Now, if the other department and you are not close, guess what? They may not be keen to lend you the equipment because they are fearful you may not be appreciative. So that's where the whole networking thing comes in, right? Nancy asked, can member persuade a manager to shift from normal to that one? Now, a lot of this focuses on mindset shift. So when we run our leadership program, a key component is you need to shift the mindset, which means, as what I just shared just now, shifting the focus on relationship to result is very key. Once the mindset shift, it is easy for managers to switch. That's one. Secondly, is to recognize the local culture. The Malaysian culture is very relational, which means we don't question, we don't push. Because why? We don't want to offend people. Now, if you are able to recognize that, then two things will happen. Firstly, you need to be able to start developing leaders who will be able to embody this approach. The challenge, obviously, is their managers may be more the old school where focus on relationship. One of the things that I work with leaders is you need to be willing to take the risk. That means you need to start doing things the new way. At the same time, when you are with your manager, you do things their way. So you and above do it their way, but you and the people below you, you do it your way, which is the high performing way.